from the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old-mannered comic shop owner, Colin McMahon, transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for February 2021. February is a short month and it's a cold month and it's a great month for reading. You know, we can't go out still, and so it's a good time. It's cold, get under a blanket and get something to read. So there's lots of great stuff that's been coming out lately, a lot of great stuff coming out in February. I also have thousands of graphic novels if you're looking for something a little bigger to read, a little of a longer read. And because of that, my theme for February, I'm doing an artist spotlight. Normally I do like a company or a character. I'm doing an artist spotlight this month and I'm focusing on Grant Morrison. Now Grant Morrison is one of my favorite writers. I don't always know exactly what's going on with it, but it's a fun read and I enjoy the ride. And they're always nice, big, chunky, confusing, really deep reads. It's fun, you know, some things you're not just going to blow right through it. It's going to take you a little while, and I think you're going to enjoy it. I have a couple samples, or examples, but Multiversity was a book that he did from DC that's really one of my favorite books. Just a fascinating look at all the different DC worlds, different takes on characters, and a lot of it is just first chapters of stories for someone else to join into. Also have Batman and Son. This was his Batman run that he did and introduced Damian. Really good read, and again, like I'm saying, big chunky reads, really good story, a good Batman story. Next up, Doom Patrol. If you've seen the TV show, it's really based on a lot of what he did here in this book. Crazy, wild, bizarre, but just a fun ride. And then Invisibles, which is another crazy one where he really went off the rails writing this one. But just a lot of neat stuff. He's put out all sorts of stuff. Come on in and we'll find something for you, something good for you to read. So, like I said, February is a short month, but there's a ton of great stuff coming out. I was really, really happy going through the previews again, looking at everything that's coming out. So Marvel has the big event going on right now, so we're going to jump in and talk about what they have going on. King in Black is still rolling along. It's not wrapping up till March, so they still have a lot of players they need to move around on the board, and a lot of that is coming out in February. King in Black #4 is out. What's a god to a king? So as Thor is trying to take him on and other characters are trying to take him on, the King in Black is really laying waste to everyone. Venom 33, focusing on Eddie Brock as Venom in this. As the King in Black spreads his suffocating darkness across the Marvel Universe, Eddie Brock looks for a light, any light that can pierce it, and comes up empty-handed. Then we have King in Black Captain America, just a one-shot, where Captain America is in a brutal battle to win the streets of Manhattan back from Knowles' forces, aided by the Winter Soldier and Falcon. But there's a darkness inside Steve that he's struggling to shake. Can his closest friends help him through, or will he succumb to the shadows? We also have King in Black Marauders, the X-Men team. This is written by Jerry Duggan, who's doing the regular book. Red Queen, Kate Pryde, and her crew of marauders set sail against the forces of Null. Captain Kate has pledged her to fight for the needy, and a global disaster like this gives plenty of folks in need. Also King in Black, Black Panther, where Null has invaded Wakanda, the unbeatable country, and so he has to figure out if he's going to help his Avengers in the world or if he's going to protect his country. Regular series are also tying in with this. We have Black Cat #3, where stealing from a space god has made Felicia Hardy pull out a whole new bag of tricks. Daredevil 27, as New York begins to crack under the weight of Null's symbiotic assault, Matt Murdock has a crisis of faith. Savage Avengers is tying in with Conan and Deadpool breaking out of Rikers Island. Miles Morales' Spider-Man 23 is tying in. There are symbiote dragons in Brooklyn, but that's not the worst thing Miles has to face today. Null has taken one of his best friends and is using them to go after Spider-Man. Sword #3. This is a new series that kicked off and then went right into the event. The Void God has overtaken Earth. Top-level mutants have been assimilated. Protocol V is in effect, but space is a big place and lots of things happen there at once. Fantastic Four 29, bad things going on there. In the midst of the chaos that is King in Black, a symbiote bonds with a member of the first family. Now we have some other titles starting up. We have Avengers Mech Strike, which looks a little bit like Avengers Transformers. The Avengers are confronted with an unstoppable new menace, one that is seemingly impervious to their every strength. But the Avengers aren't so easily beaten, and when new threats arrive, powerful new tools must be brought to bear. Amazing Spider-Man, we're getting a facsimile edition of Amazing Spider-Man 101, which is the first appearance of Morbius, the living vampire. They were supposed to have a lot of stuff tie into the movie, and of course all the movies have been pushed back, so they're kind of just going ahead with this one. And we have a one-shot written by Ralph Macchio, who wrote a lot of stuff back in the 80s and 90s. Emil Nikos was Morbius's research partner until the bloodlust made Emil the first victim to Morbius's vampiric urges. Now Emil's son is dying from a new rare blood disease, and only Morbius can save him. But at what cost? Also, Black Knight is going to be a part of the King in Black storyline with his ebony blade, which is going to have some tie-in to the King in Black. So they're doing a facsimile edition of Black Knight 1, which came out long, long ago, back in the 60s, and most people have never even seen. So that's kind of neat, getting something out there that most people haven't been acquainted with. They have another new book coming. This is X-Men Legends, and they're tapping into their 90s history. And there were a lot of plot lines that were kind of left undone as writers left and new writers came on, and as things changed, as they went into Onslaught and all that kind of stuff. So they're bringing those writers back to finish up their storylines. So break out the yellows and the blues, fire up the danger room, and snap on your pouches as the legendary X-writers return to classic eras of the mutant superheroes in all-new in-continuity stories set during their fan-favorite runs. They also have another Marvel Voices book, and in honor of Black History Month, they're focusing on all the black characters in the Marvel Universe. Okay, so that's what Marvel has going on, and all the other books are still going. All the X-Men books are still running strong, but just nothing to highlight, because they're just rolling right along. DC, only a couple new ones. They only have one new Future State book and a couple other things, but I wanted to talk about it. First one is Future State House of L. This is by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who is going to be taking over Superman and Action in March when we return to everything. Centuries into the future, the bloodline of Kal-El continues. Meet a new generation of Kryptonian heroes as they stand against one of the greatest threats they've ever faced, a diabolical foe called the Red King. They're also doing a Valentine's Day special, DC Love is a Battlefield, which is one of their big chunky square-bound books with tons of stories all about romance in the DC universe. Also getting Generation Forged. We already had Generation Shattered, where there were heroes from different points in time were gathered by Booster and Kamandi to help stop this great ending that's coming. And so dispersed through time by the villain Dominus, our ragtime team of generational heroes, 1939 Batman, Kamandi, Superboy, Steel, Starfire, Sinestro, Booster Gold, and Dr. Light, must find a way to restore the timeline. And what they ultimately discover is something far, far greater. You'll have to read it to believe it, as time dies and generations rise. So I'm sure this is also leading into the new event they have. I'm sorry, Infinite Horizon, I think it's called. And then there's also a Man-Bat miniseries coming, just for fun, because he hasn't been around in a bit. Well, actually, he's in Justice League Dark, so who knows. For years, Kirk Langstrom has struggled with his monstrous alter ego Man-Bat and the serum that transformed him. But he's finally hit rock bottom following a devastating setback, and he's going to take his anger out on every single citizen of Gotham City. Can Batman and the Bat family stop him? And one, Truth and Justice, this was a digital first one where they're doing like little vignettes on digital platforms, and now they're collecting them. And this first one, it says, the DC Universe is synonymous with two words, truth and justice. And in the first issue of this new anthology series, Vixen takes center stage. Vixen teams up with Dr. Mist and the Impala of the Global Guardians to face down an ancient deity that's taken over the body of a scientist investigating powerful magical artifacts. Now on to Image. Image has more than usual. Normally they have one or two new books, but they have a bunch this month. Radiant Black is a new one from Kyle Higgins and Marcelo Costa. Nathan Burnett has just turned 30 and things aren't great. He's working and failing at 2 jobs, his credit card debt is piling up, and his only move is moving back home with his parents. But when Nathan discovers and unlocks the ethereal cosmic radiant, he's given the power to radically change his fortunes. There's just one problem. The powers don't belong to him, and the cosmic beings who created them want them back. Stray Dogs is a really interesting little book. It's about stray dogs, and it's got a very animated look, but it's going to be a dark mystery book. So it's scary being the new dog. Sophie can't remember what happened. She doesn't know how she ended up in this house. She doesn't recognize any of the other dogs. She knows something terrible happened, but she can't just recall, wait, where's her lady? So Deep Beyond, this is a outer space one they have coming. In an underpopulated future Earth, devastated by the dire consequences of the Millennium Bug, the survival of mankind and maybe of the planet itself is handled by a small number of people. Talented scientists who, despite the adverse situation and the stupid feuds that continue to divide the small number of people still alive, try to understand and study what is hidden in the depths of the abyss, something mysterious and dangerous which could essentially cause even worse and more destructive catastrophe. Two Moons is an interesting one. It's a Native American type book. This issue starts the long journey of a young Pawnee man named Virgil Morris, aka Two Moons, fighting for the Union during the Civil War. When he is suddenly confronted with his shamanic roots, he discovers horrors far worse than combat, and the ghosts of his past reveal the monstrous evil around him. Write It in Blood is an original graphic novel, but it looked interesting. It's about on the eve of their retirement, 2 hitmen, Cosmo and Arthur Price, drive through the Texas countryside with the infamous Little Harkness in the trunk of their car. The brothers are meant to deliver Harkness to their boss, but matters become complicated when Arthur's recklessness jeopardizes Cosmo's retirement plans and puts a target on their backs. And then there are a couple books that have new storylines starting, so they're good jumping on points if you're looking to get into them. Birthright 46, Bliss number 5, Commanders in Crisis 5, and Spawn 315. So I figure I should point out some spots where you can jump on some of these books. Now Dark Horse has a couple of new ones too. Matt Kindt is coming out with tons of books. He just had a new one come out last week from Dark Horse, and he has another one coming out in February called Fear Case. A no-nonsense Secret Service agent and his New Age partner investigate a mysterious box known as the Fear Case, which has appeared throughout history at sites of disaster and tragedy. Whoever comes into possession of this case must pass it on within 3 days or face deadly consequences. The agents must track down this Fear Case while staying one step ahead of the psychotic cult and the otherworldly forces behind the case's existence. Also have Young Hellboy. They killed off Hellboy. He went to hell and died. But we still get tons of Hellboy books. A lot of them set in the 50s. Now we have a young Hellboy, The Hidden Land. Stranded on a strange island after a mishap on their way to the South American dig site, Hellboy and Professor Brutenholm are confronted by all manners of monsters. But even when the stranger who rescues them turns out to be one of Hellboy's heroes, they aren't as safe as they think they are. Now they're also doing a neat book, Black Hammer Visions. And what this is stories of the Black Hammer universe, but not written by Jeff Lemire. It's being written by different people. An exciting reimagination of the Eisner Award-winning Black Hammer series told by guest writers and artists such as Patton Oswalt, Jeff Johns, Mariko Tamaki, Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson, and more. Number 1 is by Patton Oswalt, exploring the life of youthful superheroine Golden Gale on the Black Hammer farm in a story that takes place before Black Hammer 1. So IDW has some more stuff coming. We have Transformers Beast Wars, celebrating 25 years of Beast Wars. Chained to the Grave. This is a story about outlaw Roy Mason, who's come back from the dead, but he's chained to the headstone that marked his grave. On the trail of buried gold and hunted by a big bad, Roy struggles to hold his family and his body together. And then we're getting a new Star Wars book. Star Wars High Republic is the big novel that just came out, which is set 200 years prior to the first Star Wars stories of Luke and Leia and Han. And we got Marvel's doing a High Republic book, and now IDW is doing more of the kids, the animated style, the Adventures book. So, in the glory days of the Republic, 200 years before the adventures of Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewbacca, the Jedi stand as guardians of galactic peace. until a powerful new adversary called the Nihil arrives. Now a group of young Padawans training under Master Yoda must protect the Republic while learning the lessons that will one day lead them to become powerful Jedi in their own right. So I know there's going to be a lot of buzz behind that because people love new Star Wars stuff right now. Dynamite has a couple new ones. First one, a little hard to wrap your head around. It's Sonya Versal. And an evil god punishes Sonyas across the dimensions. What's the punishment? Sonyas must kill other Sonyas. So it's all these different, there's a red Sonya, a blue Sonya, a black Sonya. All these different Sonyas come together and have to fight to the death to see which Sonya survives. Then we get a couple Valentine's specials. We have Red Sonya Valentine's special, where Red Sonya turns out she's fallen in love with her greatest enemy, Kulan Gath. And she has to figure out how to... She's head over heels in love, and Sonya will face her greatest challenge, resisting the urge to kill a love that cannot die. And then we have a Vampirella Valentine's Day special, where she's married to Dracula. And humanity has become a little more than cattle to Vampirella, and Vampirella has sworn a sacred oath to her husband and king not to fight against vampire supremacy, but a rebellion is brewing in the shadows. Now, Boom, up next, has a bunch of new ones too. We have Luna #1. This is my Maria Lovett, who's been doing Loveless and a couple other books. It's a new dark thriller about a young woman named Teresa who's plagued by prophetic dreams that connect her to something powerful, something divine. Buffy the Vampire Faith is a one-shot giving finally telling the origin of Faith and giving some of her backstory. Spectre Inspectors is a Scooby-Doo type book of a team of kids that go investigating haunted houses and things. True believer Noah, her cynical little brother Gus, credulous cameraman Co, and skeptical Astrid head to one of the most haunted towns in America to prove that ghosts exist for all the social media likes. The investigations of hauntings uncover something more devilish than just a couple of ghosts, something that will put Noah and Astrid's relationship to the test and reveal the centuries-old sinister secrets of the town itself. And they have one called Orcs, about a group of orcs going through the countryside adventuring. Aftershock has a couple new ones. Shadow Doctor. This is a true story about the writer Peter Galloway's grandfather, Nathaniel Calloway. A black man who graduated from medical school in the early 30s. He was unable to get a job at any of the hospitals. He was also unable to get a loan to open up his own practice. So he went to the only person who would hire him, and that was the mafia run by Al Capone. Maniac of New York #1, a nice little horror book. 4 years ago, a mass slasher began stalking the streets of New York City. Maniac Harry is inhuman, unkillable, and unstoppable, which is why the authorities' solution has been to ignore him and let New Yorkers adapt to a world where death can strike at any moment. A frightening, thought-provoking, sometimes funny, always timely tale of murder, obsession, and urban living. And then Nuclear Family #1. Now, this one is based on a Philip K. Dick story called Breakfast at Twilight. It's America, 1957. Elvis dominates the airwaves, and apple pie is served after every meal. But with the dark cloud of nuclear holocaust looming, Korean War vet Tim McLean's major concern is taking care of his family in the atomic age. When the first bomb does drop on an unsuspecting Midwest city, Tim and his family find themselves plunged into a strange new world, where what's left of the United States has gone underground and while continuing to wage war on Russia with unthinkable tactics. AWA has been a great success story here. A new company, they put out a bunch of books. Year Zero, Hotel, Resistance, just a bunch of books, and they've all been really, really good. And they have a couple new ones coming out in February. We have Redemption by Christina Faust and Mike Deodato. A dusty desert town of Redemption survived the apocalypse but is hanging on by a thread. A despot rules the town with an iron fist and controls its most precious resource, water. When her mom is marked for death, Rose ventures to the wastelands to seek out the help of the legendary gunslinger Cat Tanner. But the so-called Butcher is long retired. When Rose arrives on her doorstep with gunmen hot on her trail, the Butcher has to make a choice. Sit on the sidelines or pick up her guns and do what she does best. And then Casual Fling. Jennifer Ryan has the perfect life, a loving family, a high-paying job in corporate law, a luxurious apartment in Upper Manhattan. Then one day she steps out of her marriage and finds her new lover isn't the one-night stand she expected. Stalked and threatened with exposure, she tries to unravel the true identity of her tormental tormentor, discovering valuable clues on the trail of destruction left in this mysterious man's wake. Behemoth is a new little company that's putting out some interesting stuff. They have one called Paranormal Hitmen, and it's basically The Sopranos meet Ghostbusters, so that should be fun. Mad Cave has one called They Fell from the Sky. Tommy Murphy is just an ordinary kid. He goes to school, hangs out with his friends and fanboys over his favorite TV show. But when a chance encounter in the woods thrusts him into an unlikely friendship with an otherworldly creature, he is forced to navigate bullies, family squabbles, and teen woes, all while trying to prevent an interplanetary war. Scout is putting out a lot of stuff that's getting a lot of buzz, so I kind of wanted to focus on some of their new stuff that they have coming. They have one called Black Cotton. Set in an alternate reality where the social order of white and black is reversed, an elitist family, the Cottons, are rocked by a tragic shooting that begins to unravel long-standing family secrets that could not only destroy the family but also divide the fragile social climate of the world. And one called Black Friday. While an unlucky cleanup crew deals with the aftermath of the latest Black Friday frenzy, they discover that years of pent-up negative energy has released something very evil and dark into their superstore, which is just the way corporate wanted it. Titan has a neat one I'm looking forward to called Blade Runner Origins, and it's the story of the origin of the Blade Runners. A Tyrell Corporation scientist is dead, the victim of an apparent suicide. But when LAPD Detective Cal Moreau is called in to investigate, he uncovers secret documents revealing a new kind of replicant and a conspiracy that could change the world. Valiant is bringing back Savage, which is a character that was out. It was like his origin as a young kid. Now he's a teenager. He's a teenage heartthrob, feral social media icon, and dinosaur hunter. Born and raised on an uncharted island full of prehistoric dangers, Kevin Sauvage has a taste of home when a mutant dino threat invades England. And lastly, we have one from Vault called Hollow Heart. Vault is one of my favorite companies. They're doing some really, really great stuff. And this new one looks good. L used to be human. Now he's a jumble of organs in a biosuit. L is also in tremendous pain and has been so for a very long time. Hope arrives in the form of Mateo, a mechanic brought in to work on L's suit. Mateo sees L in a way no one else ever has. And what's more, he offers L an escape. So they like to do a lot of fantasy, horror, sci-fi type stuff. Looks like another one in the sci-fi genre. So lots of good stuff in February. Normally February, I kind of went into this a little trepidatiously because normally February is a little slow and a little light on content as the publishers kind of take a break. But I think everything's kind of been shifted a little bit with the schedule and everything. So this looks like to be a really, really good February. So come on in. Lots of stuff to find. If you're looking just to grab a couple things to sit on the nightstand and read at your convenience, I have lots of stuff for you to pick from, and we'll happily put something good in your hands. So thanks for watching. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm at the store, pittsburghcomics.com. Facebook is Pittsburgh Comics. Twitter and Instagram are PJH Comics. So that's it for February. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for Comic Previews Theater. Thanks.
Welcome to your first day at the Secret Service.
The case we're about to give you. It's the oldest case in existence. It is a legendary case.
The case you give to new agents is some kind of hazing ritual. The case that can't be solved.
Martin, listen to me. I don't care what you've heard about this case. What you need to know. This is a case that hundreds of agents have run into and crashed and burned. Every agent. We are close, really close, closer than anyone has ever been. And we have 3 weeks left.
And then it will be your problem.
But I'm here to tell you this. We are going to solve it.
Agents assigned to the case are given a strict time limit of 1 year. We have 3 weeks left. Why just a year?
Because, Martin, the agents that worked the case for their entire careers, they all went.
It's a test, Martin. A rite of passage. Winters, give him the spiel.
The case? It's actually a case. Or a box. The description of it varies. The first documented sighting of it was during World War II. Anything before that is pure conjecture, rumors, myth. What we do know? The case contains something valuable. So valuable that wars have been fought over it. Countless people have been murdered to obtain it.
Cults and religions have grown up around it. Shadow secret societies have been operating for years to find it. The Japanese transferred it to the Nazis. It got lost in Poland. Death and disaster followed this thing around from 60s assassinations to Ecuadorian drug lords in their 80s. It worked its way up to a doomsday cult south of LA, the Favos. Our man inside confirmed this, just before he was murdered. From there, it disappeared. What's in it?
If it's Nazi gold, that would be great. But if it's a dirty bomb or weaponized virus, it's now on our doorstep.
If it was a dirty bomb or virus, they would have used it by now. My guess is it's either Jesus' child's fetus or proof that Hitler was really Jewish.
Martin, this isn't a joke. Everyone that's worked on it longer than a year,
The case tends to consume you.
if we don't solve it, you and your new partner, you'll get a shot at it. But know this, the case, it's no joke.
Welcome to your first day at Secret Service.
The case we're about to give you is the oldest active case in existence. It is a legendary case.